International. You're joined by Panathafan and Nick. Welcome, boys. It's been a while.
Been a while and a lot has happened since we were last on. Keen to get into it.
Good evening, boys, and loving the summer transfer period and all the rubbish that comes out. So, never a dull moment.
We have obviously hit the European transfer window open, and there's always a story or two. Everyone's an insider. Everyone's got the gossip, but always everyone's wrong. So let's kick into it. Let's kick things off first with the Champions League draw. So we got announced the draw with Rangers. Now, it depends on which fan you ask. Some are happy, some are not happy. I'm going to sit in the boat of the happy fan of getting Rangers. What about you, fellas?
I wouldn't say happy. I'd be leaning more towards not happy, but I can see your reasons for being happy as well at the same time. In terms of name, head and shoulders, they're the biggest opponent and hardest we could have gotten in terms of their history, their pedigree, their European pedigree especially. Then you dig deeper and you uncover a lot of issues that are unraveling at that club. So potentially we've got them at a good time.
From my perspective, unlike the last few years, I actually was quite neutral about who we got because I looked at Victoria Pilsen, I looked at Salzburg, looked at Rangers, and there was no preference for me. I think they all had their concerns for me. So, yep, the more I look at Rangers, and obviously we'll talk about it a bit more, the more I'm like, okay, I'll take it because I can see that there's strengths, and it's probably the one thing for me out of the other two is that if we defeat Rangers, we're actually seeded for the next round, and that's a critical point.
Yeah, that's one reason why I'm happy. But I think out of the three teams that we could have drawn, Rangers are probably the least organised, the least prepared coming into these games. Nick, you and I did separate interviews with Scottish media. Well, mine was 3:30 a.m. Sydney time with a big show there. You had one as well. They seemed kind of confident, but I feel they're kind of naive, um, especially with they Rangers have lost their second top scorer, who was their winger and produced a lot of the outlets, and their midfielder, so they were both on loan, and also their best defender, Suter, has gone under surgery because he delayed it to play for Scotland. So when you look at the fan reactions, they don't seem too pleased at the moment that they've got new ownership, American ownership, but they've really slow. They've just announced one player who who is a right back, but it's a backup spot for Tavernier. There, I think he's their captain. So that one's a bit of a weird one when they've got all these needs compared to where we are. We've announced two. We've got a third one, and we'll talk about signing soon. But we're in different positions now. Where Panathinaikos is a little bit more organised than what we've seen, and compared to our opposition, who they're fairly hands and a and whatever the saying is, they're way above professionally compared to where we are in terms of being run as an organised club. They're really struggling at the moment. It looks like they're just really lagging behind where they should be.
Well, they were like us. Well, we finished 16 points behind our arch rivals in second. They were 17 points behind Celtic in second. And the one area where I think we have it completely over them is Victoria against Russell Martin in the dugout. I might come back to bite us. I don't know. I'm not a fan of Martin. I'm sure you guys remember only a few months ago the way he'd unraveled at Southampton. That was a sinking ship, and he was so set in his ways his reluctance to go to move away from the possession-based style and implement a plan B, the failure to do that cost him his job ultimately.
But that was what 17 points behind Celtic in a two-horse league. Essentially,
Yeah,
we had four
we got 4.
teams that battle for the Greek league and that put pressure. So it's a bit of a difference. But to be that far behind in that really a duopoly of a league, that's more stunning.
I'll tell you what they have though. Even last season they were hopeless, but I saw in one game they really took it to Olympiacos in the Europa League, and they bloody made the Europa League quarterfinals. If that was us, Europa League quarterfinals, we'd be doing cartwheels. They've had that in the last 3 years, plus a Europa League final.
Yeah, they're good at
That's what worries me. That European that really worries me.
they're good at the knockout games and the European games. And if memory serves me right, they actually knocked out Fenerbahce
Hmm.
in the home and away legs in the
Mhm.
knockout round. So, despite their shortcomings, if they largely kept that starting 11 intact, I'd say that 100% they're clear favourites against us. The fact that they've lost a few players and may lose their striker to AEK as
Right.
well, that'll be a massive blow too. So, I'm not going to write them off because of the European pedigree. Yes, they finished so far behind Celtic, but Celtic is actually in a really good place at the moment. The players they've got and Brendan Rodgers as their coach, so probably talks as much about the strength of Celtic in that league as it does for their own shortcomings as well. So I'm sort of a bit cautious in completely writing them off for that reason.
Yeah, historically though, Panathinaikos does fairly well against Scottish teams. History suggests that I don't ever recall us losing the last where we've played 4 games for 1 win, 3 draws. They did knock us out on away goals rule. That doesn't exist anymore. That was in the 08-09, I believe. And we knocked them out 03-04, getting a 3-1 away win in Ibrox Stadium. So we've had a lot of success against Scottish teams, to be honest. Aberdeen as well. We've played 3-0 at Leoforos, and that was like a walk in the park. That game from memory, that was a European game as well. But we've had relatively good scores versus Scottish opposition, and it's I can see this continuing. I can really see this trend continuing.
Yeah, we knocked out Motherwell as well in our Champions League qualifiers about a decade ago as well. So I think that when it comes to it was Rangers twice, Motherwell, Aberdeen from memory, and we've got a positive result in all bar one, and that one was the one against Rangers where we went out in away goals.
And
And
that
if I
one I was reading today that their striker from that game, Naismith, called Leoforos that in that particular game the most intense atmosphere he's ever had to deal with in his whole career.
yep,
He
yep.
was talking
Yeah.
about glass bottles being thrown and everything.
And from memory in that game, we dominated, or at the very least, they didn't create too much because they just got a goal towards the end of the game and limped over the line to get through, and they made the Europa League final that year. So
Yeah, Guma
and
scored an
that,
absolute worldie, while their one was like a rebound shot, like a real scrappy goal.
but it goes back to, if we're bringing it back to today and the game at hand. I mean, Russell Martin for me, yeah, it's been already grumblings about him from Rangers fans because of his history, or his recent history of Southampton in the EPL. But on the flip side, from what he did lead him to promotion from the Championship, if I'm not mistaken. And a Championship is probably more closer to SPL standard as it would be for the EPL. So yeah, there's pros and cons, and I kept saying it. So I'm sort of a bit of a holding a small basket approach when it comes to Rangers. I still fear them. I still think they'll be the favourites against us because of their European pedigree compared to us in recent years, that is. And all they need is 2 or 3 signings in the next couple of weeks, and they may have a strong squad again,
Yeah,
or a strong starting 11 at least.
you're definitely correct. They definitely will be favourites coming into it. I just think it's going to be more a bit of a false sort of favourite because we're gonna Russell Martin. If you look at his resume, even before Southampton, fairly average, fairly average. If you look at his points per game, picking up. So he was, he got the gig at Southampton and got the promotion, but then just smashing it with the big boys, not having a plan B, not altering his style. Ultimately, cost him his job. Southampton could never really get any wins or get enough points to stage, to get anywhere close to survival. So it's going to be an odd one. The good thing about us and them is we will have that continuancy of having a coach while they won't. They're bringing a new coach, so it's going to be a new system, something that their preseason probably has already, just started. It's familiarizing themselves with a new system while we've got the same coach. The philosophy is there. There hasn't been too much disruption in our preseason in terms of key players leaving. The players that have departed the club are the old guard essentially, and we've replaced a few of them so far. So we'll see how that goes. There hasn't been a huge loss for us, while, as I said, Rangers have lost two of their better players that they had on loan. And we've, there was links that their striker, their top goal scorer, could be departing as well. So,
This preseason of ours, this camp that we go on next Monday, so a week from today, we're flying out to Austria. I feel that's going to be absolutely pivotal for us, just to continue, as you said, that continuity, stability, same faces, and really hone in and get his ideas across. That's and honestly, we spoke about Russell Martin and Victoria. Honestly, I believe he has it over him. We like Victoria, the three of us. We saw the positives. He picked up the pieces. He made the best of a bad situation, and this season he's got to take it to a new level.
Yeah, and look, the preseason is a fairly strong preseason compared to previous years. Now we open up against Metalurst, which is the Ukrainian team, and then we've got Schalke, who's sitting now in Division Two in Germany, but they're still decent outfit. Then we've got Braga, and we finish up with Westerlo. The game versus Nordsjælland, the Danish team, was cancelled, but we did pick up Westerlo. So it's compared to the teams that we played last 2-3 years, it's a fairly good hit out, especially having Braga there. Schalke is still a big name, historic name in German European football. We've have a bit of history in our past with Schalke from over a decade ago as well, 2 decades ago. So it's a really good hit out.
The part that also I quite like is that from a starting 11 point of view, in terms of best 11 from last year, in that first leg, there should be 2 players missing. That is Mladenovic, because he's suspended for the first game, and Unahi, assuming we don't sign him until then. Right? So everyone else is there, ready, unless they get an injury in pre-season. Touch wood, that doesn't happen. But the reality is that we've got a full starting 11 out of those 2 spots.
Yeah,
And Kyriakopoulos, as our new left back, he's got over a month to get used to the team and understand what Victoria wants from him. So it's just that spot with Unahi that, again, assuming he doesn't get signed between now and then, that we need to come up with an alternative.
but yeah, that's and what you said, it relays with what the positive of us over Rangers is, what's going to work well is that the continuance of the team, the manager, the team personnel. What's been changed is the new medical team, and we've brought in a new analytics person as well. So there's been a lot of positive changes and a lot of Rui's influence and the way Rui sees the club needs to modernize itself and adapt to the changes that is football. We've had horrific injuries, and we've seen in the last 2-3 years our season's been derailed due to injuries, and you see now Victoria bringing in a new medical team to assist with that, to hopefully make sure that we're not getting too many injuries and they're getting treated well and get a quicker recovery time. What's also positive, and I'll say this because I believe that it was a key factor in last season. I think having Foti rested a lot this off season, no international games, anything like that. He played the small part in the Greece game, and he came out unscathed. He did find himself on the score sheet. Is that he'll be rested. He hasn't had a huge workload from what we've seen compared to the last 2 years. That can only benefit him. It's up to him now to take it to the next level. There's no excuses from his end. He's got a preseason to attend and to really show why Panathinaikos values him at that minimum 20 to 30 million mark. So that's on him. And also, Bakasetas is well rested as well. He had a decent hitouts for the great team, got himself a couple of assists. The positive reports, even though he's on break still, is that he's been training a lot and keeping himself in top condition and ready to go. That can only benefit us once again, having a player like Bakasetas, leadership qualities, experience, everything like that. That can only help us.
I think they're due back today, both of them.
Yeah, they look like they're all holidaying together in Milos.
Yeah.
So we've got a few players coming back then from international.
The international, exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, Pelistri, Sviderski as well. Cherin, I'd imagine too. He's not back yet, is he?
I thought they had a week extra. So we reported back last Monday, and the internationals had a week. So if they're not back today, it's like tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're definitely either today, tomorrow, the day after.
Yeah, definitely Pelistri's back in Greece because he's already posted up the beach videos. He looks like he's enjoying that summer Greek weather. So, look, as I said, it's great to have that full team, no real disruptions as of yet. And we can talk about the new signing. So we did talk about Kyriakopoulos. Now that's a big signing. We got that one over Ike. Ike were reluctant to pay the transfer fee. Panathinaikos stepped in and made that payment. So I I've always seen that the left back spot was a need. It's a very vital position. We over relied on Mladenovic last season. Max, no one even knows what happened with Max. The most expensive left back in terms of being paid the most, and was never fit and just couldn't cut it. So we brought in Kyriakopoulos, who I think, and I was excited about Max because if you looked at Max's pedigree, he was a German international. He's represented Germany, and that couldn't translate into cutting it out even for the Greek league. So that's a huge disappointment. But you bring someone like Kyriakopoulos who played 30 plus games for Monza in the Serie A. That can only benefit us having a player like that with his quality playing in a top league in the world coming to us. That's going to benefit us, and he's not that old. He's what, 27, 28? So
29, 28, 29, yeah.
So fairly good age as well. Fairly good age as well. So he'll be obviously fighting with Mladenovic for that spot, but I can't see him not being the main left back. Now the other one, this one caused a little bit of a stir online in terms of defender. It is the Algerian international Touba. His name is. This one came out of nowhere. This one is definitely a Papa Jim signing. This one, it's been discussed that Papa Jim did chase him while Papa Jim was at Ike. Never got that target, but he finally landed him. He had Panathinaikos. Now the scouting for him, like we can talk about him because it's when we look at a left-footed defender, his name was never really in the conversation or someone that we were searching for. It was a name that came out of nowhere, and the fan base, after Googling, watching videos, were not impressed. He's tall, he's very good in the air. So, this is a scouting report. He's tall, very good in the air, very good with the ball at his feet. He's probably one of our more advanced ball players as a defender, but he's very slow in terms of acceleration, speed, and tackling defensive duties like that is not one of his key strengths. He'd be behind like Ingerson, Yedvay, Palmer Brown in terms of capability of defending. So there's a worry that he could be, if he's caught out, especially with his pace, players, even like average players that do have pace like Yanotas in the Greek league could exploit that and make him look even more bad, and us making those kind of average players look good. So there's a bit of a worry about that. It's really a question to see whether he will be the starting defender, because there's obviously players going to be vying for positions. We've got, it depends on the system, obviously. If we play a flat three, which there's rumours that we might play a flat three in a 3-4-3 formation, or if we go back to the 4-2-3-1, where will he start ahead of Ingerson, Yedvay, Palmer Brown? That's a question that we'll see. So the Tuba one's going to be very interesting. What did you boys think of the Tuba signing?
I'll start on Tuba then. Look, like the rest of the fan base, or most of the fan base, definitely not happy with it. Definitely, Papapetrou signing a player, as you said, that he tried to get from his Ike days. Didn't get him there, and he lands him now that he's at Panathinaikos. Not mixed reports coming out of his loan spell in Belgium. I believe their fans, the club he was at, I think, did they want to keep him? I think they were relatively pleased. They wanted to keep him on, but it's what you said. Like, if you're a centre back, you want your best attribute to be your defense. And he strikes me, again, from the very little I've seen, just snippets and that, he strikes me as someone that's not only slow, he's just on the ground jewels. He looks horrifically out of his depth. He's tall, so you'd imagine he'd be okay in the air. He will start. I'm certain he will be our starting left-sided centre back, which is a shame because I think for that position we needed an Ingerson equivalent, or someone even like above Ingerson that can come in and be your rock, be your leader, marshal the troops at the back, because that was a real weak spot. It's going to have to be all on Ingerson again, unfortunately, this season, because I think Dubai will start, and the hassle is with him is he's going to be missing roughly a month with AFCON.
Yeah.
That's the and at a tricky time where it always unravels for us around that January turn of the year period. Then if you look at Kyriakopoulos, very happy with that signing. Exactly what we need. Good age, as you said, coming off 5 relatively good years in Italy, knows the league well, and versatile as well. He's someone that can play a bit further up. He's got a great left foot. He can play centre back if he has to, a defensive midfielder, but definitely his best position is left back. And I think Even take out the Mladenovic suspension, I think he'd be definitely our starting left back.
Kitty Akopolo, I agree with all the points raised by both of you. So happy with the signing. I don't think you have many people out there that would disagree. So I'm happy to leave it at that.
And a good price.
At a great price. I think it's an all-round great signing. So I can't really criticise any aspect of it. Now with Duba, so I'll make 2 points. One, it's not a player, not the player or type of player that I wanted to see us sign for centre back for all the points you boys have raised. I want to provide a different perspective, and hopefully, what I say turns out to be true. In that he originally, in his early days, as a youth player, was not a centre back. He was a striker, and I believe he also played as a winger as well.
No.
And he has converted to being a centre back. A little bit sort of still early in his career, but not a youth player as such. In order to keep his career going and still being able to play at top levels. So he's a converted centre back.
Jeez, I didn't know that.
And as a converted centre back, I think that he's learning the craft and learning the trade, and maybe that explains why he's not the greatest of defenders. But as it's been sold to us, he's a ball player, so he can bring the ball forward. He can do the great passes. So I suspect that's probably a byproduct of the positions he played for in the past. So the theory, and there's a bit of hope in this theory, is that he is becoming a better defender the more he plays as a defender. And if I look at his year in Belgium, I think as you boys have called out, the feedback from the fans was they liked him and they wanted him, and the reports were that Mechelen or Malin, whichever way you want to call him, wanted to keep him, but
also Anderlecht wanted him as well.
As well, yeah. Now Papapetrou was the biggest fanboy of all, who ended up signing him. But by all accounts, he had a decent season there. So to me, it suggests that he probably has been stepping up potentially. And again, this is more hope than anything else. But I'm sort of hoping that he's a better defender today than what he was, say, 2 years ago when he was at the Turkish club, and I forgot which club it was, to be honest. So, and the Belgian league as well has got some quality talent in terms of attacking talent. And our own Greek player Zoli is lining that up, and Garetta is doing it well as well. So, he would have been tested by some great attacking lineups in opposing clubs. So it's not like he's been having it easy at a top tier club and romping at home. He was in a sort of mid-level club playing against some teams with great attacking talent, and by all accounts had a decent season. So they're the positives. Well, not everyone on this podcast, but I think all the media and fans over the last few weeks have highlighted the negatives. For me, I thought I'd just highlight the positives and say, you know what, let's hope that he surprises us all and has a decent season.
Look, Victoria probably wanted that centre back that can play those passes that you said, bring the ball out and help with the build up. My personal preference is I think we needed that rock, that guy that's no nonsense, good in the air, good on the ground, just defense first mentality. He doesn't strike me as this type of guy.
And truth is that, from my personal point of view, my preference is for that left-sided centre back to be Palmer Brown. And I'm praying I'm praying that he's injury free for this season, because I don't think he has really had the ability to show that he can really lock down that position and be the leader of that defence, not just a useful defender.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah. Look, I'm a bit on the neutral side. Obviously, having a player there in that position can, obviously just means more challenge, more options as well, because we knew last year we didn't have Magnuson available. We're kind of short. Bart was in and out injury. Just you can tell his body was aging as well. I think we'd seen his best football past him as well. So yeah, you can only hope that this one works out. We'll see, obviously, how the preseason pans out with him in that squad, and see if Rui likes what he sees as well, and he can be fighting for that starting 11 spot. Because we've seen rumours as well that Yedvai might be on the way out. So, you know, let's see. Another player now. This one, I believe there's a verbal agreement in place. It's just a matter of pen to paper, making it formal. Is Tsapras from Levitakos. Now, this one is, for me, gets 2 thumbs up, this signing. Very happy with it. Tsapras played at Levitakos. He had, I believe, four assists or something, 5 assists. So in a team like Levitakos, where goals are pretty uncommon, they did well, and they survived. But a big part of it was, you know, those younger players that they've got, Tsapras, Vichos, the striker that they had on loan from Ike. They really all, they all really shined. So Tsapras was also wanted by Ike, but his heart was always wanting to come to us. So we did, obviously, or we do have the agreement in place. So it's just a matter of the formalities before that becomes official. So that one, very happy with. Um, Also, we announced the re-signing of Kyriopoulos, which is good. Plays on the wing. He had a big season at KFCR. I believe he was wanted from them as well to stay on permanently. We're obviously keeping him and giving him a new contract. So the you know the scouting and the reporting on him seems to be all positive news. I think in the winger spot, especially in the depth side was where we really struggled. Limnios and Mancini did not do any favors for themselves, and they're both reported on the outer as well. But with the Tsapras signing, it does mean that, and it has been confirmed that Kotiras is on his way out. Kotiras has been solid for the club. Gave it his all. He was never the most technical, the most fastest, most he was never the best at everything. But what he did was he always played with heart. He always gave it his all. So he will be departing us. I believe he will be heading back to Asteras from memory. But there was
Not confirmed.
ice in the
Not confirmed.
mix.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think everything was pointing towards a return back to Asteras. And obviously, the player was very well liked by the fans, so there was nothing but mutual respect by the fans, thanking him as well for his services. But I think we've seen also his best football as well past him, and I think it is the right decision for both parties that he moves on and we move on from him as well. There's obviously, as I open up the pod, that the off season has just gone ridiculously, and I'm not even willing to discuss some of the names in terms of going overdrive. We've been linked in the past week about 10, 15 different players that someone's signing this week. There's going to be a signing this week. It's done. All these things. All these people that call themselves insiders. Anyone that calls themselves an insider that hides behind an account and calls themselves insider, they're just full of shit. Never believe that person. Never take their word. So just wait for any official news, anything that is coming more from a reliable site. So we got our good friend Leoforos, who I think we will be doing soon a podcast with him. He will be he's given me his word that he's happy to join us for a podcast. So he's one of the better guys. He's not someone that spills a lot of bullshit. He reports on accurate things, especially in his YouTube videos. He talks a lot of facts and gives his insight and opinions, and they're fairly good. So, there's him. There's a few decent people to read and follow, but anyone with that insider sort of stuff, just stay clear from. But
There is one rumor though that I thought I will acknowledge, and that's a rumor of a player out leaving us and not coming in, and that is our beloved third striker, Jeremejev, who's been rumored to be going to Larissa of all clubs. So I thought I'd just put it out there that when the day comes that it's announced that he's leaving, because I suspect he will, then I'll be happy to lead the way in giving him a fond farewell.
But with Jeremejev, or who we call Jerry, we've nicknamed him Jerry. He's been a fairly good return for what we paid for him. That 500,000 he's been very good return. He's scored, I believe, more than Spora in their time here. So
I think we paid a lot less than 500,000. I don't think it was more than 200, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought it was around that 500 mark, but he's he's done what he can. His strengths were just finishing in the box. That's where he was most prolific, just getting those vital goals in that short minutes that he was given. So yeah, look, also he's another one that I think he's in his early 30s as well. So I think it's also time that we look at kind of new blood, because he wasn't the most skillful player, especially ball to feet, just a bit lanky. He was there at the right place at the right time, but you just need that little bit more from the strikers these days, and it was something that he just doesn't offer a lot.
But he did though, and this is where the reason why I defend him. He did one thing and one thing only, and that is score goals.
That's what he's paid to do. It's like what the Ike commentator once said: "Evale golo Jeremejev," in the most disheartening and unbelievable voice. But yeah, but the Unahi situation is interesting because initially Marseille wanted 11.5 million euro. We offered 5. Now they've dropped it to 8 million. They had a couple of teams that were interested, but none could offer first team football. So that's what the story has been. Panathinaikos is still keen and upped it to 7 million. Now, that's the reported offer, that we offered 7 million. Now, it's whether that is going to be accepted or not, if Marseille is just going to hold off for a better offer or not, or someone that can offer him first team football, those guarantees. So obviously, the fan base really wants Unahi. I don't think. Look, I haven't been obviously his biggest fan, but he did have a stellar, especially in the playoffs. I think he was really, really good there. It was really stellar performances from him. In terms of position needs, that 8-10 spot, yeah. I think at the moment the critical one is that number 6 role, which apparently we're going to lock it in this week, obviously. So that one's the critical one, and then we can talk Unahi.
Probably also the Ioannidis situation will change over time as well.
I don't see Foti leaving before the Rangers tie.
No, definitely not before Rangers, but I'm not ruling it out. I'd say it's more likely that he does go, but before the 31st of August.
If Yeah, but the thing is, if we manage to beat Rangers, he stays. I don't see him.
You reckon he stays?
We won't
That
sell him.
we have to sell someone. They said all the talk was a few weeks ago the cost control issues.
Yeah, but would have sold Tete if that was the case. Was Tete was apparently offered? It was said 20 million, but then
Yeah,
it came out and it was
11.
more like 11 million from Fiorentina. If that was the case, we would have sold. We would have said yes to Tete.
Apparently, the club's advisor they never had an offer for the debt. That was just talk.
For 40, we did though, definitely from Fiorentina.
They've come out as a
Fiorentina
low.
is definitely keen, definitely legit interest for the
Yeah,
debt.
and a legit offer
But
for 40.
yeah, but we're not going to sell 40 at what the clubs have bid for. We've rejected a low
No,
ball offer,
yeah.
so the offer has to be right. Even though if we have to sell a player, we're not just going to sell for the sake of it. The offer needs to be right. I don't think an offer is going to be right, especially right after the Rangers side, unless 40 scores a hat trick or something and really absolutely tears them apart, where he might garner more interest. Uh, and who knows? There was something that I read like last month that Celtic were interested, so it wouldn't surprise me if Celtic's going to keep an eye on this fixture as well.
And if we get to say late August and we haven't sold a player, pressure's going to ramp up to
That's
sell.
what worries me. And then we're going to be forced to accept the low ball offer last second.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You run the risk of just taking whatever offer comes your way to solve the problem, because the problem's not going to go away. The problem's there.
I think, yeah, but wasn't the fine meant to be small for now as the first warning?
No, we already copped a fine as a first warning. The second and third time around where it gets more serious. So we copped it for last year already, but it ended up being a lot less than what they feared. So I think they thought it'd be about $1 million euro, and it ended up being less than half a mil.
Yeah.
But the next one's going to be a lot worse.
Then if you sell 40, you need to sign 2 strikers, a first choice and a third choice.
But that's what I'm trying to get at. It's like you're going to probably end up spending more than what you need to do. Especially that's why I don't see us selling, especially at a low ball offer. If a team doesn't meet our offer, we're really going for it. That we need to make it.
But then we're going to cop a fine, massive fine.
But then
We're going to gamble on Champions League phase.
I disagree with
Yeah.
that, because then how are we making a 7 million offer euro for Unahi if we've got these financial sort of issues?
Can I maybe provide a different perspective? And that is that we haven't made an offer. And there were reports coming out of Italy
That's what worries me.
that Marseille did not have an offer from anyone, including us.
That's a bit of a contrary to the reports that we did make that 5 million euro offer, which Marseille never formally rejected.
But the offer was being reported to have been made, which no one seems to be denying, is a loan offer is a mandatory purchase after 1 year, which makes sense because that will then mean that we avoid issues with cost control.
Yeah.
The other thing that as well, and the one thing that's been reported a fair bit but not generating much discussion, is that Victoria has made it very clear the players that he wants to bring in, they're going to be dynamic, athletic players. They've got a lot of run in their game, and they're not sort of sitting still, which I don't think that's going to be a surprise for many people. Hence why I was not much discussion. But you look at then Unahi, he doesn't fit that description of what Victoria wants. And I'd actually start the question: does Victoria really want him? Are we really that keen on Unahi? Or are we just throwing the loan offers out there and hope that nothing else comes up, but they're not exactly hell-bent on buying him at all costs? It's just a theory. I don't have any inside information, as I've always said, but you put the pieces of the jigsaw together and you sort of see how that could unfold.
Yeah. Look, like I said, I personally don't think we're gonna sell Foti, especially out of the low ball offer. I think the key thing to watch will be the performance against Rangers as well. That's going to be an indicator where if he kills it, then there's going to be a lot more interest, a lot more firmer interest as well. If he doesn't, then I think that's when then we might reduce it from that 30 million to that 20 million. That's when things like that might happen. But if we progress, I don't see us selling him, especially us being seeded in the next round. I can't see us selling him.
I think the reports though were that if we made Champions League group stage, then no problems.
We're
Problem
okay.
solved. Yep. If we make Europa League group stage, it's not enough. We need more income. Based on the fact that we're still buying players. Like we obviously paid, was it 2 million for Kyriakopoulos? And we paid 1 million for Tuba.
And we're in the market for a six, a left winger.
The left winger, another striker. So we're going to be paying a bit more. So it could be up, say, fees of about 10 million, but potentially, without knowing who we're going to bring in. So we're going to have to bring in at least 10, one would think, in terms of fees, just to balance it out.
Yeah, it's definitely one to see. There's obviously a couple of rumored exits as well. We're hoping to get, I believe it was the 1.7 for Mancini.
Upwell.
Yeah, there's rumors Upwell wants to bring him in for 1 million, but we're looking at 1.7. There's obviously the Edvai ones as well. So, look, I think the financial space and the signings is still a bit of a murky sort of area. Nothing is really transparent at our club. So we're just going to have to wait and see how it all plays out.
I don't mind that, to be honest. The fact that it is murky, let that stay behind closed doors. The fact that no names are coming out and all that as well, keep it that way.
That the no name stuff, I don't mind either. But the financials, you're always gonna have to be skeptical because we saw what happened in 2017 where no money was put in and there was no financial.
That's the different story. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's obviously we want it to be a little bit more transparent, and we obviously want it better understanding, or else we could be copying fines again from UEFA because of these PSR bullshit stuff. So that's why you want it to be transparent, because without that
And that's where
transparency,
it's on the club.
we're going to be paying fines because we can't even balance our books or even know what the books look like.
But that's where it's on the club as well. Like ticket sales will help, and the European games. I think, for example, Rangers will be played at Oaka, and they'll try their hardest to fill that up, and that helps. It's not just player sales, and also sponsorship. That's what our ownership should be looking at. Leoforos mentioned today that us and Bulk potentially going to receive a huge offer that's like double, triple the size of Stichiman that we've got at the moment. That goes towards cost control.
Well, there you go.
Yep.
If we accept it. Things like that all counts.
Well, let's see. Well, and you talked about Oaka, so the positive news is that European games will be played at Oaka. However, the Greek League games, we are returning to Leoforos due to upgrades, construction work to Oaka. I see it as positive that we are returning to Leoforos because many reasons. A, spiritual home. B, I believe that you it will get the fans a little bit back on side. You're kind of winning them slightly back, not a whole lot, but you are returning to Leoforos. We won't be playing in front of 8 to 10,000 people in a 80,000 seater stadium, so it looks dead. At 10,000 to 15,000 in Leoforos has a lot more impact than compared to Oaka. Unfortunately, the European games will still be played at Oaka, but as you said, what Naismith said, that the most intimidating atmosphere and was at Leoforo. That's what we kind of need it to be. We need the home ground to be a fortress. Owaka, I don't think was providing that. Owaka just felt like a soulless stadium. When you get over 50,000, it looks good. It's loud, but it just doesn't work for us. I know it's good for the optics, whatever, but it just doesn't work.
I think it.
Well, no, you're right. For the league, Leoforos is Oti Prepi, exactly what we need. It's a proper home ground that's going to be intimidating and hopefully get us a few extra points in the league, definitely. And then even Europa League, if we do get league phase of the Europa League, there are huge opponents there. And it wouldn't shock me if we set out, you'd get eight games, 4 of them at home in the league phase. We'd get close to selling out all 4 at Oaka, provided they're big name opponents.
I've had the pleasure of being at European games at both Leoforos and Owaka. And Owaka, I was fortunate to have crowds of 40,000 plus. And I'll, without doubt, I'd say that Owaka, close to full house, is fantastic. So, from a European perspective, if we can get the crowds, which is no guarantee, I am totally for playing Owaka for European games.
It's going to depend, especially which competition, because we played Conference League and only the Chelsea game drew crowds. So
if we end up in the Conference League, forget. I don't want to think about where our season heads.
But look,
not just from the crowd perspective.
The Conference League is significantly weaker this season compared to last season. If you look at some of the teams that will be participating, the other comps will be pretty strong, but the Conference League, when you look at the teams, significantly weaker. So, look, we just need to beat Rangers, and we're guaranteed Europa League.
This is one of our biggest games of the season already. Exactly.
Yeah. Let's change direction because we covered the football part. We'll quickly brush over the basketball. There's not a whole lot of news, but the big one came in the last 24 hours where Papapetrou did announce his retirement from basketball at the age of 31. He cited due to injury, I believe it was his knees, that he couldn't continue on anymore. It's quite sad for a boy that grew up loving Panathinaikos, watched his dad play for us. Him obviously started off at the Gavri, then came to us, returned back to us after an international stint with Partizan, returned back to us and winning a European Championship. That's, stuff that you dream of. But unfortunately, this season you can tell he wasn't the same player. And now that he's revealed the extent of the injury, everything like that, you can understand why he wasn't as impactful this season, why he wasn't getting a whole lot of minutes. So, really sad to see a Greek boy that loves Panathinaikos just call it a day, but he will leave as a loved fan and player as well of the club. I believe we've talked in the past about TJ Shorts. That was the worst kept secret. That is done. Now, there's one that we've got a verbal agreement with. It is from, I think, from Baskonia. Rogavopoulos, the small forward. I believe he's in the small forward position. We do have a agreement from him, but we are negotiating with them for the buyout. They were holding off for initially 1.5. We've asked them to lower the ask. So fingers crossed that one gets done, because he will be a big asset for the team. Just like the soccer news, the basket, obviously, names are being thrown out left, right, centre, but the basketball world is a little bit slower, mainly due to the NBA. The NBA just finished now, so they'll have their draft off season. Players will get picked up, signed. A lot of the players that don't get picked up, then look at the next best options, which obviously Europe is a solid calling. So basketball news will be, especially the big signings, will be a little bit later, towards closer towards the August period, where you'll hear more solid names and confirmations. But
Shorts has been killing it in their final series over in France,
yeah,
scoring for fun.
yeah, he absolutely lit it up, and it looks like PSG in their basketball team has been already pillaged. So we've picked up a player, I believe. Another player of theirs is exiting as well, the second best. So will be interesting to see how they went. That was their first year in the Euro League, and they made the top eight or top.
Yeah, they were.
They played, I think, in the
Mm.
against Fenerbahce, and they lost. But for their first season, it's pretty good. All right, boys. Anything further you guys want to discuss? Anything we haven't covered?
I'm just all here for the wacky rumors.
Yeah, look, there's going to be plenty until the next time we speak, when do a comprehensive, um, we do a comprehensive preview versus Rangers. That's when we'll know what our friendlies look like. We know what the squad's going to look like leading up to it. We have been reached out to a couple of Scottish still just fan podcasts, so we're hoping to do just a two-part podcast where we join their podcast, they join ours as well. So hopefully there won't be too much of a language barrier with the Scottish accent. I was blessed
Yeah.
that the interview that I did with the Scottish um, talk show, they do on YouTube and radio, their accent wasn't strong, so I was lucky. How did your one go?
Mine was easy. I was very lucky after all. I was worried, but he was fine.
It's good to see you boys representing Panathafan on the global stage once again. PAO Fans International
Yeah.
getting plenty of airplay in different podcasts across the world. So good to see.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a last minute, and I got the timings wrong, so I woke up an hour earlier than what I thought I needed to wake up. So that was, yeah, I thought it was a 2:30 start, but it was a 3:30 a.m. start, and that really ruined me.
And that photo behind you, that photo of yours is gold. That is the photo of the year. No, both of them are no helmets. The wireless weaving through traffic as well. Everyone's stopping him to say hello. Or the Cosmas like blase, half asleep, like joy rides. Look at this.
The best of friends.
And there was reports that they had a fallout.
Falling out.
Yeah.
Where's the falling out?
They look very comfortable.
All right, boys, let's wrap it up there. Pleasure to speaking to both of you, obviously, about Panathinaikos. We'll chat again in the next few weeks. We'll obviously update the socials with any official news, any edits, anything like that. Pleasure. Take care.